Hi, good evening, and a warm welcome to Rangers Radio. Joining myself, Southside, on the show is Albert and Billy Boy. How you doing, Albert?
I'm great, mate. How's yourself?
Aye, good, pal. Billy?
I'm smashing, buddy. How's your good self, Southside? Evening, Albert.
Aye, good, mate. Good, mate. Aye, good to be back on. Looking forward to Sunday. Like used to, gentlemen should be. I was just thinking back, Albert, before we started the show. Do you know where you were today, a year ago, mate?
Haven't a clue, mate. Still not got a clue. I remember, mate.
The difference a year makes, eh, Albert?
Oh, aye. So it's some year, and you think to the end of doing it. It's what a night! What a night! It's fantastic. It's still fresh in the memory. It's a good memory as well.
Billy, it was some night, some atmosphere. Probably the best we've ever tasted at Ibrox Stadium in a European night.
It was absolutely electric, wasn't it, mate? It was just brilliant, man. The expectation that night was different class, like, you know, and the boys went out there and they performed. It was what a night, mate. The place was absolutely rocking from start to finish, and then the scenes at at the 90 minutes at full time, when we knew we were going to the final it was incredible. It was an absolute pleasure to see, mate, and there weren't many dry eyes in the house that night, I'll tell you.
No, because when I was thinking back and I was saying it was a year ago, if you remember back, Albert, the first goal that we were involved in, it was Kamara fighting for the ball, who passed it to Kent, who went on a run and squared it, put it right across the box for Tav. And if you can remember back, it was Scott Wright, believe it or not, who started that night, who laid the ball into Kamara, who played a lovely shot into the bottom right-hand corner and for the goalkeeper. And obviously John Lundstrom for a Kent cross, because Kent done well for the third goal. And you look at the players and Lundstrom finishes it off, and you look at it a year down the line now, and we look at what they've contributed, and some are saying it's time for them to go. It's amazing, isn't it, in a year?
I put it this way, it's the first time and only time that I've liked Scott Wright and Lundstrom, you know what I mean? They were brilliant that night. And Kamara, he just fell off a cliff, the boy. But what a goal that was. That was a class goal. It really was. You see what the boy's capable with and what they've got now. Same as Lundstrom. You see what he's capable with and what you're getting. It's just night and day. But they're going to get in the history books of producing, being part of a team that produced one brilliant night. It was absolutely fantastic, man. You can't take that away from them.
No, it just shows you it's the heights of what they were playing at that time, and obviously you're looking for them to go again, Billy, the following season. But when you look at what they contributed and where they are now in the pecking order, about we think as supporters, it's where you're at the time, but it's where you've got to be all the time. You can't let the standards slip when you've got that vein of form. But I was just, when I thought back and I had a wee look at the game of the day back, and I just thought, look at the players that are actually contributing that aren't they actually at the moment.
The players certainly, they raised the bar. The expectation levels were through the roof on that European run. And I think as a fan base, or supporters base, whatever you want to call us, I think when we look back, that was just the standard, as you correctly says, that they set. And the ball, as Albert said, I know that the players, every one of them, they'll all go down in the Rangers history books as the team that went to the Europa League final. Kamara's goal, for talking's sake, he just passed it in the bottom corner with his left foot. If I mind right that night, I'm sure it was his left foot. He tucked it away. Great goal. And then obviously Lundstrom scores a winner. But it just shows you how far the players have came in a year's time. and where they were then and where they are now. So, as I said, when it's all about standards at Rangers, as we know, Southside, and when the players set that standard and reach a level, they've got to play at that level constantly and try and better it, because there's no point raising your standards to that level and get the expectation level through the roof and go the opposite way, because that doesn't work at Rangers, buddy.
Aye, I mean, I recognised the magnitude that it takes out the squad and the team to get there at the time. And we've talked about it all season, all better. We've said about the injury list and stuff, and players no fit, and we bought players in and they weren't ready to fire. But talking about the general squad, probably we're getting to the wear and tear stage. But it's probably because I think to cram in a World Cup this year, the games were coming thick and fast. Even the Champions League games get played a lot quicker. You're going 3 days a week, 3 games a week. And it was probably, we should have refreshed, right? But that aside, do you just think it was just the magnitude restarting pre-season and the short break that the most of the teams have had? Even if you looked at England, a lot of them had suffered injuries, but I think it was a lot for the squad to be asked to go again in such a short period of time.
I think it was, mate. We played a hell of a lot of games that season, though. I mean, but to be perfectly honest, I think that team, that Rangers team, the Leipzig game was the peak. That was the peak. Hindsight's a great thing, and we can look back and say these things. At the time, you didn't realise it, but as the season unfolded, we've done the right thing if you think about it. We brought in players, we brought in enough players, we brought in some good players, but they're all injured. That's the thing that got us. We couldn't get them into the team. And then, as you pointed out, the World Cup's there crammed in, and then you've got the Champions League's crammed in, everything's crammed in. It was just ridiculous. It was chaotic and stupid. And we never had the squad to carry us. We just didn't. Plus, that game against Leipzig, as I said, we peaked then. We didn't go one more game. We peaked in the final, but we actually peaked in the semi-final. The whole team I'm talking about. And since then, hindsight, linking back, that's been declined for that night right up to present time. Okay, we won the Scottish Cup, but we didn't win it in 90 minutes. But as what it is, mate. We were. It's just one of these things, isn't it?
Let's be honest, it would have been a massive hangover for the players. It's got to affect them mentally as well, Billy. We have, and I just think when you get there, it's like, and if you get to the playoffs in England as well, and they don't get up into the Premier League and that, the following year the team very seldom gets back up. They don't make that big a challenge, and they've sometimes got to rejig their squad. But I just think for the short of the pre-season that we had, and then we had the Champions League qualifiers to go into, and by the way, I had a look, PSV, who we put out, are actually winning the Dutch League, so it just shows it's amazing what can happen in a year. But Billy, I just think thinking back, the players used to get a good 6 weeks off, easy 7 weeks, and then they would come back. But nowadays, the modern football player, they've got to be ticking over all the time. They're not getting a lot of rest. But I just think it's something that you probably have to give players in time, because I think it feels like we're burning them out.
Aye, that's a strong possibility when you're entered in all these different tournaments. No, it doesn't matter if it's the European tournaments or in domestic duty. The players it's like, for talk's sake, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and then they maybe get a wee break, and then it's back on again, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday type thing, and then it's maybe a Wednesday night, and then it's on to a Saturday, so they're playing, they're not getting time to rest, and they're not getting time to recuperate type thing. And I mean, these guys are top athletes, and they're pushing their bodies constantly to be fit. You know what I mean? And they're obviously, didn't get me wrong, the sports science is a big part of the game there as well. So they've got all that to contend with as well to help them recover for these big games. But the mental side of football is a big thing, I know, as far as I'm concerned. And you've got to. I mean, people can say, well, they're young athletes and they're this and that, and they're getting paid good money, and rightly so, because they're getting paid good money. You know what I mean? But that you've got to remember as well that they're pushing their bodies both physically and mentally, right to the limit. And you've got to try and keep them fresh. You've got to try and keep them fit. And then obviously you've got injuries to take into consideration. They get we kicks in the game. They get strains in the game. Some are serious, some are no. Like, you know. But I think, to be honest with you, Southside, I think we maybe punched above our weight in the Europa League last year, and we maybe just went that wee bit further. And it was just maybe a bridge too far type thing. But you can't rest on your laurels now. I mean, that's done now, and what we done there last year, that's in our history books. But we've got to try and kick on again. And if that means a freshness about the team again, then so be it, because it can only be beneficial to the club going into the future.
Aye, I don't know if that maybe affected maybe Gio's pre-season at that time for this year, at the start of the season, Albert, you know, because a lot of the players had put a lot in, and mentally, as Billy says, and physically. I mean, it took it mentally and physically to us all. The supporters never mind playing, but you know what it's like. You come back, then it's like, I've got to go again. I think sometimes, you know, I'll be honest, I think the league must train some of these players as well that we're playing in. 4 times a season, and then sometimes 5 and 6 if you get them in the cups. And if you're doing that in Scotland for 3 or 4 seasons in a bounce, I just think sometimes players do want to move, Albert. I just think they will get sick of it. I just think it's down in England, you get a bigger league, and I forget the excitement and better teams, just the structure of playing each other twice and that. It's just this grind of 4 times a season. I'm just wondering if that's why some players only day, like Kamara, we're saying it's time to go. Kamara's been here a long time. He's done this grind, so you don't wish him any ill be gone, because he's been here this length of time, and I think it's time he does move on. So Alfie's the same in that. So I think these players, it gets to them this length of time, Albert, do they want to move out the league?
Of course, but I'm not getting at Kamara, Morelos, Kent, or any of them for wanting away. That's fine, and I agree with you saying, because it is a grind. Let's be honest, it's a total grind, and it's no enjoyable. It's just no. You can play a team 7 times a season if you meet them in all the competitions practically, and it's stupid. It's just stupid. 6 times, sorry. And it's not that annoys me with players. Morelos, Kent, and Kamara. It's the fact that it's a grind, but you still need to go out and perform. It's the non-performance that we don't care anymore. It's the giving up, carry on. It's the chicken. That's the thing that really annoys me. But wanting away, I can understand the reasons for wanting away. Obviously, money's the big reason, isn't it? If they're going to make better deals elsewhere, fair enough. I've not got any complaint about that whatsoever. But I don't like the fact that if you're wanting away, you just don't chuck a towel in, mate. That's a fact. You just don't. And I think some of these players have done it. The grind did get to them. It gets. I mean, let's be honest. When it gets to us, we don't like it. I can't stand this 4 times a season nonsense. It's rubbish. And the split, it's just garbage. Total and utter garbage. But that's Scotland for you. I don't want to get down that road, by the way. That's a rabbit hole I don't want to fall down.
Aye, I just find that it's because we've got a 2-team league, and we try to. I mean, I've been thinking about the academy and that, Billy, and I'm looking at some of the young boys that have been there or thereabouts. If you take Leon King out the equation now, and because he's been in the Champions League and he's been flung in, but he probably wouldn't have got flung in at the time if we hadn't been decimated by injuries. But I was thinking a couple of the boys that we've got out on loan. And we've got the boy Ben Williamson that's on the bench tonight for Dundee in that championship decider. I think we've got the other boy, Josh McPake. I think he's on at Queen's Park. And we've got the boy Lewis Mayo at Kilmarnock. And we've also got Cole McKinnon at Partick Thistle. So we've obviously put them out there to get a bit more experience. And Kai Kennedy, I believe, is at Falkirk. So we've sent them out there to get experience. Now, I can't think off the top of my head. 1 or 2 might be coming out of contract, and there might be 1 or 2 with a year left, Billy, but it's good experience for them. Maybe if you think Lewis Mayo, would you say if you look at Lewis Mail the now for the season that he's played at Kilmarnock, is he maybe further down the pecking order in playing time than Leon King?
Possibly, buddy, aye, because I've just when you were hanging there, I was scribbling down a couple of wee things and I'd done a wee look. I was just his stats, the Lewis Mayo boy stats is actually quite good. I mean, he's only 23-year-old and he's been out on loan at Dunfermline and Partick Thistle in the Championship, and he had a lot of game time with both A clubs, Southside, and then obviously he's came to Kilmarnock now on loan, and he's quite versatile as well, because he can play either right back or he can play centre back in the right hand side. He can either play in a 3 or a 4, and he's played down there all season, I believe. I think he's played something like 38 games for Kilmarnock, and the boy's stats are quite impressive for a young laddie. I mean, he's got a 62% pass rate, and he's got a 73% tackles won percentage. Now that's, in my opinion, that's quite good for a laddie at 23-year-old. Now if that laddie's maybe in front of Leon King for type thing, I mean, what are we going to do with these laddies? I mean, obviously there's some laddies there that they're not going to be up to the right standard type thing. Other laddies will be progressing more than another clutch of players coming up through. But I mean, these laddies have got to be given a chance, as far as I'm concerned. There's no point in bringing them up through the youth system, Southside, Albert, and then putting them out on loan to get them good experience with different clubs, and for them to progress up through the different leagues, and then for them not to get a crack at the Rangers. You know what I mean? Because we'll never know how good these guys are if we don't play them, and we've got to trust them when they do come in for talk's sake, to let the laddies flourish in a Rangers jersey.
Aye, Albert. If you think about it, you've got young Leo in there who is, they're saying centre back, who would come into the team and play at centre back, and we're also talking about young boy Mail there, who's now 23, had a few loans, and he's got the experience now as well. So has he got the same problem? Is it better that Leon King's still there than now training with the first team? And is it a disadvantage maybe to Lewis Mail, do you think, being out at Kilmarnock? Or do you think it's something that could benefit him when he comes back, or if he comes back at the start of the pre-season?
See, I've got a slightly different view on these boys. I know they should get a chance, but we're not in a position to give them a chance, put it that way. But at 23 years of age, it's a time to sail on. It's to cash in, cash your chips in, guys. He should have been pushing for that team. Every young player at Auchenhowie, by the time they hit 20, they should be at least pushing for the bench for the first team. That's the minimum, the bench for the first team. We have view to wrestle a jersey after somebody. And if they're not there at the age of 20, start looking to shift them on. They're not going to do it. We're nursing these guys, and we're not treating them like professional football players. We're treating them like wee boys. They're no wee boys. They're professional football players, and some of them are earning a good salary. And they should be pushing on. The boy, I didn't know that boy was 23. But one of the questions I was going to ask you later on the night was, how many 20-year-old boys have we got at the club? Because every single one of them, and I mean, without exception, every single one of them should be pushing to go on the bench and to get to start pushing these first-team players for their jersey. And if they're no, sell on, cash in, because we need the money, we need the space to bring other people into the club who do want to develop and start fighting for the first team position, and are good enough to get into the first team. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if they know how. I really don't, because we seem to get, and it's been spoken about before on the show other nights, that we seem to get so far with these young boys, and then we can't get the final step. Either they're no good enough. I don't know they're no good enough. I've not seen enough of the boys to make that judgment. But it seems to me, if they were good enough, we were desperate for centre backs at one point this season, and that boy Mayo must have been 22 last year, when we were struggling, and he can't get into that team at 22 years of age. What's wrong with him? How's he not getting in? That's the question you need to ask. And it's not about no giving him a chance. Is he good enough? If he's not good enough, move on.
I agree. I think it comes down to a pressure thing. I think there's more pressure, obviously, playing at Glasgow Rangers than there will be at Kilmarnock. But it's something, I'll put it out to the listeners, and I think we'll get the phone lines opened if that's all right with you guys. And we'll see if some of the callers can maybe agree or speak about any other young boys that we've got there. So let's hear from you.
356-1972. It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
I think that's what it is, Billy. I think for these boys in the group, the ones that we've mentioned in that, it's going to be a really hard. You'll really need to be really exceptional to come out the academy to force your way into the first team. We've seen young Nathan Patterson get his chance, and obviously the club got an offer that they couldn't turn down. And let's be honest, I don't think we'll see an offer like that for a young boy at his age and development for your academy for a wee while, that somebody would splash that amount of money on again. But fair play to the board, or Ross Wilson, or whoever it was that managed to get that fee at the time. The club managed it, and it's a good bit of business, Billy. But we're really struggling to get these boys even into the squad to try and develop them, because, to be honest, Lewis Mail's getting more game time there and developing than he would be now at Glasgow Rangers.
I think when you think about it, I think the last player was sold for that type of money, or in that region of money, south side, was Alan Hutton when he went down to England, if I mind right. But these laddies, I mean, the way I see it is, I agree with all Bear to an extent, but I mean, he touched on he made a lot of good points here. But I mean, if you're going to have a youth set up or an academy and bring these laddies on, there comes a point in time when we've got to let these laddies perform for the first team, or there's no point in a youth set up in the first place. And I know some laddies are better than others, and the expectation levels at Rangers are obviously completely different, as we all well know, regarding the laddies getting put in. Or, I mean, it's bad enough for the players that's playing the new, and they're battle-hardened season pros type thing. So I know, obviously we know what that's like, but we've got to start giving these laddies a chance. I mean, and let them. And by that, I mean, I didn't mean them coming on maybe for getting a cameo 10 minutes or something like that, or 20 minutes. Fire these laddies in. Let them. I mean, look at the Hearts game last season when Gio was the manager. He went through to Tynecastle and he played a clutch of laddies, and the laddies were superb. But I thought the laddies were superb that day. It's maybe, or okay, the game was maybe, the season was maybe over type thing. But saying that, the laddies come on there and they never looked out of place, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I want to see Mary at Southside. I want to see Mary the laddies getting a chance. The ones that's ready, no the ones that's not ready. You know what I mean? The ones that look as if they can go and step up to the mantle, then I'm all for giving these boys a chance. But as all Bear rightly said, if they're 22, 23-year-old and they're no chatting at the first team door by now, then there's something certainly no right.
Aye, I agree. It's just that we've got an academy and something's got to try and be produced at it over the next wee while. I think we've been joined by Jim. Jim, how are you doing, pal?
Yeah, not bad.
Right, the floor's all yours,
things?
pal. Aye, good, mate. Good.
Well, I've been chatting to Terry for some time there, so I missed quite a bit of what's going on. So.
Well, we're just talking about
we're
just talking roughly about the young boys. We talked about Lewis Mail, who was out at Kilmarnock, and some of the boys are out at other clubs. Apart from Leon King and Lowry, we were taking out the equation and just talking about the boys that were out at other clubs. Do you think they'll get a chance to be part of a squad to see if they can get some game time, or do we have to let them all go out and sell them onto clubs? And if you're thinking about Lewis Mail going to Kilmarnock, Jim, you wouldn't think the fee would be a big for what Kilmarnock can afford if they'd like to take him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I think at the moment we're in I know all the things that have happened, but we're now in a good position. But it's all down to Michael Beale to decide what he wants to do, you know. And if you've got young boys, you've got to be ready to play them, and you've got to be playing the right ones. So, I mean, there was that boy, I can't remember his name was, is it Zach Love something? A centre forward?
Lovelace.
Lovelace, aye.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that Lovelace, I always remember the name of Lovelace, you know, but I think it was an American person who was a little bit risque, you know. Zach Lovelace, I think. Zach Lovelace. Yeah, well, I think if the boy's been scoring goals, then I think they should maybe introduce him. Yeah, give him a chance. I would even go with Devine as a fullback, in amongst an experienced squad. I think over these next few games, we've got to introduce all these young boys, but we've got to win all the games, you know, for the support, you know.
I think that's why we've only, Jim. I think that's why you've only introduced them all. Bill Barrett, you watched probably Zach Lovelace the other night. I'll agree, I've seen Zach Lovelace a few times. That wasn't the sort of Zach Lovelace I've seen play before. I think he's got a bit more to offer. But what did you think of him the other night? Jim seen it?
Nowhere near the first team. Nowhere near it, mate. What I had seen, but that's to be fair to the boy, that's the only game I've seen him play, mate. But for that performance, nowhere near it, mate. Nowhere near it. It's a shame. But the boy's only, 17?
He's only 17.
I'm not getting at that boy. That boy's got, he's got at least 2 or 3 years to make the first team. He's got the physique. He's got a wee bit about himself, a wee bit of attitude. It was a stonewall penalty. He got sent off for absolute stonewall penalty. So, from that point of view, the boy could make it. But right now, in the situation we're in, no. And I'm not talking about this season, mate. I'm talking about next season. I'm not bothering with these 5 games. I'm talking about next season. Is he ready to go? No, he's not. It's not to say he can't get there.
That's the thing, Jim. Right? He's probably not ready. I would still put him on the bench on Sunday against Aberdeen. I would have him on the bench. Yeah. And I would like to introduce him regardless.
Yeah. Well, I've only just heard the name mentioned. I've never seen the boy play. But to me, it can't be an age thing. You've either got the talent or you ain't. I always remember Derek Johnson coming in at 16.
Exactly.
Listen, he gets picked for England's under-17s. You know, he had made games he'd played games at Millwall, Billy. But if we're looking at it now and thinking that boy will need to wait 2 years, maybe 3 years, you never know how people develop and what can happen. But if you're looking at him to be saying 2 or 3 years away, Billy, do you think that boy will want to sit for 2 or 3 years? You know, we'll probably have to put him out on loan at some point. You know, you're not going to get educated playing for the B games.
No, you're certainly no. You're only got to get good experience playing regularly, week in, week out, at basically the top level type thing. But when I seen that laddie during the week, I mean, obviously, listen, the laddie's obviously got something about him, or Rangers wouldn't have took him. That's the bottom line. You know what I mean? Can we bring the laddie on and make him better? There's every chance we can. But what I seen of the laddie, I mean, I'm not going to judge a laddie on one game. The scouts at Rangers and the laddie, the people that brought him here will know better than me how good the laddie is and how highly they rate him. But on that game during the week, I just thought the laddie was he's no doubt got ability, but I just thought he's a wee bit light. a wee bit lightweight, and I thought he was getting knocked off the ball easy. And if he's getting knocked off the ball at that level, then he's not going to stand up to what's required week in, week out at Glasgow Rangers first and foremost. And I think, to be honest with you, Southside, I think he would struggle if he went out on loan with any other team. So in the Premier League, for talking's sake, he's maybe needing a wee shot in the Championship to get him experience in there, the exact same way as the Rangers done with Lewis Mayo, patting that boy out to Dunfermline and Partick Thistle for a couple of years. But then again, it's a vicious circle type thing, isn't it, mate? Because the laddie maybe say, well, I'm up here, I thought I was going to get a game, blah, 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 and he maybe no want to sit tight. It's a double-edged sword type thing, isn't it?
Aye, I just think that they're young boys, and if you're at other teams that's not as big as us at the moment, they get the game time. If they're at Dundee United or he was at Millwall or he goes somewhere else, he'd probably be playing football, and I think sometimes they get a bit frustrated. But first and foremost, they've got to be good enough, Jim. But did you have a point when you phoned up, Jim, what you wanted to make to the panel?
Not really, but I've got a few points now. But we're talking about young boys, and one of my sort of favourite young boys, is probably the most favourite of all the young boys, is young Alex Lowry. Now that boy, I thought, is absolutely fantastic. Now he's had an injury, but that is a boy for the future. To me, he was a Billy Gilmore. You know, that boy had everything. That boy created so much that Hadji and other people couldn't do, you know, and he created so many chances for our players when he played, and then he just disappeared.
Well, aye, he took a bad injury, Jim. I'll pass you on to Albert. He took a right badging, and see, when you mentioned Billy Gilmore there, Albert, that's the type of player that we're looking for. A boy that will take the ball, pass the ball, move it, but he get lured away because of the big bucks of the Premier League. You know, we had a gem there, and unfortunately we couldn't keep him to see if we could develop him. I'll come to Albert first. Albert, on you go.
That's the problem you've got, man. Even if you get a good one, these teams will just come in and take them away. It's a no-win situation you find yourself in with your youth academy. You get left with, and they hear me, all the boys, but you get left with a dross. And any talent like Gilmore, like Lowry, if he screws his head on right, they'll not keep them. They'll not keep them because the lure's there. They're getting offered these fantastic wages and probably hussies and all the rest of the bits and pieces go, and off they go. And I don't blame them. It's a short career. You've got to maximise your earning capacity, ability. So I've not got a problem with any of that. The trouble I've got is this fairy land that we live on and thinking we're going to produce players for the first team. It ain't going to happen, mate. We just cannot do it. The good ones get taken away, and you're left with the bang average ones, and to the dross ones, and you're saying, what will we do with them? You can't. Dundee will take them, or the lower teams in the division will take them as journeyman professionals, but that's about as good as it gets. And it's been not happening just now. It's been happening for decades, mate. Decades it's been happening. That's why Scotland play the way we play. That's why we've got the calibre of player in the league that we've got. We need to be realistic about this guy. We can live in fantasy land the way you want, but it's not going to happen. The boy Lowry, the biggest problem the boy that Lowry's got that I can see is Lowry himself. He'll be as good or as bad, or he'll go as far in the game at any height he chooses to go if he gets his attitude and his head right. There's nothing stopping the boy. He's got all the ability in the world, mate. But he needs to get his attitude right. As far as I can see, I don't know the boy. I've never met the boy. But it seems to me that's what's holding him back. I might be wrong, but I don't think so.
No, there's been one or two reports. Attitude, he didn't tick the attitude box at times and that. But you can see there's definitely a player in there. It's probably how much do you want it. You need to go out there and force your way into the first team. You've got to try and dislodge players. And probably this season, Billy, as Jim says, Alex Lowry's got a chance to join the squad this season. And yeah, I don't expect him to start week in, week out, but I'd like to see that if he could get 10, 15 appearances, maybe more coming off the bench. I think it's an easier position to introduce the player where he comes on further up the park. I think it's harder if you're a right back, centre back, or a centre forward to try and come on if you're a young boy. But I think Alex Lowry could come on in certain positions going forward for next season if he can get himself into the squad, Billy.
Aye, well, listen, you look at Alex Lowry, for talking sake, and I don't know, I'm trying to be constructive here, and then you look at the laddie Scott Wright, for talking sake. I mean, one's, you would say, maybe be a seasoned professional type thing, and others just a laddie breaking through into the first team. I mean, so when you look at it from that perspective, then, I mean, when you weigh up the two different players, I mean, there's only one player out of two, in my opinion anyway, that looks as if he's just a raw natural footballer, and that's a laddie Lowry. I mean, but talking about his injury, I mean, that was a horrendous tackle he got, first and foremost. I mean, that was a coward's challenge, and no matter who that is out there, they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for getting in there to hurt that laddie the way they hurt at that laddie. And we spoke about the mental side of the game a wee while on the show there, just as the show started. I mean, that must have knocked that laddie for six to. And then obviously the boys had personal reasons as well, so he's had a lot to deal with. But listen, all bears bang on. There's we can't doubt his ability, because he's got it in abundance. But what I'm looking for Alec Lowry this year, running up to through the summer months and whatnot, I'm looking for the boy to get a good pre-season under his belt, and then push for a starting. Maybe not a starting place week in, week out, but I'm certainly looking for him today a bit better than what he has been doing when he gets back fit and healthy, gets his seed in the right place, and then I'm looking for him to kick on, and I want to see what Alec Lowry's all about, because there's certainly no doubt in the boy's talent, because he's got it in abundance. And as all bears correctly said again, Alec Lowry will be Alec Lowry. It'll be Alec Lowry that will decide how far he wants to take his Rangers career. But listen, if it was me in that situation, I'd be looking to grab it with both hands.
I think, Jim, when you've been there that long, I think that's what we're looking for, somebody like Alex Lowry to kick on there.
Absolutely. Alex Lowry, Billy Gilmore, Nathan Parson. We've had a lot of good boys that have come through the rank. That's three of them who should be playing for Rangers now.
I agree.
I think the people in charge have missed a trick, and it's all because the shareholders wanted to make a bit of money. That's my personal opinion. But then again, we were in a position where we needed the money, and that's why those boys went, because they needed the money. That's the only reason. Now we've got a bit of money behind us, we need to have that type of player staying at the club, being nurtured and being tutored to play for the team. Them boys have grown up Rangers supporters through the club. They know what Rangers is all about. All the players that we're maybe getting now, free transfers coming from God knows where, and how many bloody injuries have they got, and getting into the club with a bloody injury and getting away with it. And then, look at Roof. Yeah, he's a great player. He's come in, but he's always been injured. And you've got other players that have come in we've got far too many players that are being signed in the past who are injury prone. And we have lost money on those signings, So you got homegrown players, nurture them, get them in there and build a team and bring them in. And I would sell Tavernier and I'd sell Barisic and get two young fullbacks in there from the club, get them in there, get them tutored up, give them the next 5 games, get them in there, see how well they are. And if they don't play well, then we keep them too. If not, I know Tavernier has done really well with scoring goals, but his defending, in my point of view, isn't been as good as it could be. His defending could be a lot better than it is.
He's got deficiencies, Jim. He's got loads of deficiencies, but it's like anything. Your defenders will always lose goals from time to time. You just hope that they learn from the mistakes. You've made a lot of good points, Jim, and I think it will probably cause a bit of debate going forward. We've got a few callers waiting in the wings, and I've not brought them in yet because I've got your good self in. But if you don't mind, I'll bring them in, and if you don't, I'll let you go. And thanks for calling in tonight, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. Thanks for the show. Thank you.
No, thanks, Jim. I appreciate you calling in, making some good points.
See you later, Jim.
I think that's it.
I've got a question for you, by the way. Just that you've mentioned Tavernier. You think?
What?
I've got a theory on this. Do you think if Tavernier stopped 100 goals rather than scoring 100 goals, would they win more trophies?
Is that a yes or no question?
I think we'd have won 5 more trophies, 3 of them been league titles. If we'd have stopped 100 goals rather than scoring 100 goals.
Well, I think I think Blue Star's just joined us, so I think we can ask Blue Star that one as well. Then, are you there, Blue Star?
Evening, Southside, Albert and Billy. I some question that one. Yeah, I think if he'd stopped 100 goals, I think we'd have been certainly in a couple of finals, mate. I certainly think we'd have won at least a couple of trophies. A day. The stats are. We all know the score with Tav. The stats going forward in his 100 goals. He's been there 8 years. Granted, he's done well going forward. Defending, no, there's nobody can stand up for him defending. He's not a great defender. As I says to somebody else the other night there, I says, well, see if you take your right backs in England, especially the ones that are good going forward. In my eyes, very, very few of them are great at defending. So it seems to be that your full-backs are more for going forward now. On that, you're talking about the young guys. I totally 100% concur with what Albert says. If you're talking about young Lewis Mayo, who I've seen quite a few times, he's 23 Southside. Goodness me, you can't make it into that substitutes bench before you're 23 at Rangers, then I'm sorry, you're never going to get a chance. And on that, more so this season when we've been absolutely horrendously built with injuries, if our young boys can't go onto that bench, then it might not be with their ability, although I would have to say it was. Sometimes it's down to your manager. He just doesn't fancy bringing young boys through because of pressure. But if they can't make it onto the bench, no, quite frankly, we're not spending 18 million on our academy when we can't bring anybody through. Now, you can go back to, you're talking about Patterson, etc. Patterson get 6 full games for us and then he was sold. And the 6 full games, we know his position was right back and it meant I'm playing him instead of playing Tav. None of our previous 2 managers were ever willing to drop Tav. In fact, go as far as to say 3 because Stevie G wasn't going to drop him either. So there comes a point when you say to yourself, well, when your captain was off for him and was carrying an injury, and we know that to be true because Tav came out and said afterwards, he was carrying an injury for a good number of months. We could all see that he couldn't run. He should have been dropped. 1,000,000% he should have been dropped. And whether it was Patterson or whether it was Young Devine or somebody should have been brought in instead of him. That's where our club was going badly wrong. We were playing players that were in games that were carrying injuries. And i.e., I'll say it as well, including Morelos. And I get the fact that we were struggling because we never had other forwards. And on that, guys, I'll ask you a question. Does Michael Beale play him on Sunday and Kent? Because for me, they shouldn't have been near that our club for these last 5 games. And I get this story about we need to win. Listen, guys, I'm saying it. I said it to Oxford the other night. Quite frankly, I couldn't care less about the last 5 games. I would rather see guys getting games that he's intending to keep at the club.
You've still got to win.
It's one thing about our club wanting to win, to carry on winning Southside. We all know that. And don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, maybe they can catch us in second place. So is it immaterial whether we get another 15 points or no? The only game you're really worrying about is beating them.
Every game should matter, Blue Star, and I know these 5 games probably don't mean anything to the support, but you've still got to maintain the standards. You've got to get momentum. You've got to make sure that if you take away the blips against them in the semi-final and finals and stuff, you still got to go and beat an Aberdeen team all better. Considering they've already turned us a couple of weeks ago, and I know it means nothing really. I know we're safe, but you've still got to go out there and put a performance in and show a bit of standards, whether there's nothing to play for or no. We've got to look at this squad all better and see who we've already called out who's not playing, and I don't believe Alfredo Morelos or Ryan Kent will be near the starting 11 on Sunday.
I mean, they don't mean it in the game. Let's be honest about it. They're dead rubbers. I don't really care about them personally, Southside, but I understand what you're saying. I perfectly understand what you're saying. But put it this way: if Morelos and Kent are fit and ready to go, we play them because they're weak. They keep getting beaten in the big games, so they shouldn't even be a first team choice fully fit. Rather than the situation we're in now, I'm with you. Play the other guys, play Matano, play Zakala through the middle. What's the difference? There's no difference what it makes. You need to win. Aye, okay. But you need to win with these players anyway. It's not an experiment. These are seasoned pros we're bringing in. These are no wee boys we're bringing in. These are actual seasoned pros we're talking about here. So the standard should be maintained. But again, it'll show you the weakness in my squad. Glaringly show you the weakness in my squad. And I don't mean lack of players. I just mean lack of quality players. It doesn't matter. It does not matter one way or the other, mate. I'm completely indifferent about these 5 games. I can't get up for them.
Southside, see how you're talking about standards, and I totally agree with you, no idea, because I'm on about it all the time. We all are. But just for talking's sake, he plays them because I'm being truthful. I think there's every chance he'll play them, and I'm telling you why. Because he hasn't got his attitude is he's got nobody else for that forward line. That's the predicament we're in and our managers in. So see if he does play them. Say we win the 4 and they beat us at Ibrox, right? Where's our standards? Supposing we lose all 5 games, where's our standards? Our standards are already out the window this season. This season's gone. So playing they 2 or no playing they 2, there's no difference. The only difference he would be showing is a better standard as a manager, because he'd be proving to the rest of the squad, these 2 guys aren't going to be here next season. That's why I'm not playing them now. I think that would be a better standard if you've seen that for your manager, and that's been truthful.
Aye, we have said, Billy, that if he keeps playing them and they don't try, they'll fling him under a bus. It's his reputation, it's on the line, Albert and, Blue Star, and it's like that, Billy. It comes down to who he picks, and Ibrox is unforgiving at times. We've seen many a player get the treatment, rightly or wrongly, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen will happen, and it's down to him to pick the squad. But I don't think you'll actually have them anywhere near who are living in Sunday, and I don't think they should be.
110% correct. Their performances recently and for a period of time have just not been good enough, and that's the bottom line. And their body, the 2 of them, Kent and Morelos, their body language, sitting in the stand, when the cameras went up and onto them at the semi-final there at the weekend, that tells you all. I mean, they were slouching about, the faces trapping them. Surely if you're wanting to be, how can I put it, if you're wanting to be at the club next season, for talking's sake, they should have been bursting their tail there to try and prove to the manager that, listen, and prove to the supporters that they've got something to offer. But certainly in that evidence, it doesn't look like it. In fact, it's no like it. And to answer Blue Star's question, would I pick the 2 of them on Sunday? They wouldn't even be in the pool. That's how close to a Rangers jersey they would be in Sundays, as far as I'm concerned, Blue Star. They wouldn't be even in the pool.
I think I think I've just been sent a mug shot. I think Alex Kelly's just joined us. Are you there, Alex?
Yeah, I'm in here. I'm in the dark.
I don't know what you've done today. I don't know what you've done, man. Everything's just went dark in here since you popped in.
I know. I'm the same. Mind that conversation we had there lately about not having a clue with technology. I've just displayed it.
Right, what do you want to say,
Anyway,
Alex?
good evening, boy.
Good evening.
Good evening, Billy. Old Bear, Southside, and Blue Star, I believe. Aye.
Alex.
Aye. Good evening. Good discussion. It's a belter of a question. Old Bear boys there about Tavernier. I don't know. It's all hearsay now, isn't it? He's been part of the team now for 8 years, so and managers keep picking him. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't pushed him forward the way we've done with Fernando Rickson. Even Klopp's recognising that Trent Alexander-Arnold has become a wee bit of a liability for him at right back. But he should have been recognised that, I would say, probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago, that he was culpable for making these sort of mistakes. So, but it's up to Beale though to find a system to, get the best out of him, get the best out of other players in the team. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody suggested the back three. I've been saying it for a wee while now. Put Golson in there, centre with Suter next to him, possibly Ben Davis, if he's still there. Obviously, it might be different players in that there next year, but that would allow Tav to go up the park and you would cover them that wee bit better. But Michael Beale's meant to be the brains out of the Gerrard partnership, wasn't he? How's he not thought of this or even tried it? He just seems to keep playing the same players, the same system, and it's getting us nowhere. So that's how Big Stevie the other night, we need to rip it up and start again because it's no working.
Aye, we are going to. I don't doubt we'll rip it up, Blue Star. I think he will change it. I think we'll have probably 2 wide players, or at times with real pace, Blue Star. I think that's what we need, and I think that's what he'll go for. But obviously, it can contribute goals. We need people that are playing in the wide positions that will contribute with goals. But I think that's what he's going to be looking at, Blue Star.
Well, yeah, that's what we're all hoping. I mean, for me, I've shouted since the start of the season we needed pace. He brings in 2 guys, and they've been a revelation for me. Conceivably, far better than what we've been. So you're looking at the A2 and you're saying, well, if that's what he kind of earmarked, you're hoping he's got an eye for a player. Our forward line, though, much as I shouted for Alexis Sakala to get games because Gio just wouldn't play him at all. And then the game he played him, he ran right, he got man of the match, and then he was dropped again. We all know what Sakala's right. He'll give you 100%, 120% effort. He can run all day, but my oh my, he can't put the ball in the net. You've got Kovac here that started like a house on fire, and then he got injured and dropped. So you're saying to yourself, does he keep Kovac? I don't know. I don't think if our manager now fancies him. I could be wrong. He might keep him. But you're looking at that forward line. The lack of goals is just absolutely scary. So for me, if he brings in at least one more winger, because he's obviously going to try and count in Lawrence, but if that doesn't work and Kent goes, which we hope he does now, that's got to be another winger. So as you say, 2 wingers plus a striker. Southside, I'm being truthful. Even bringing in 1 striker is nowhere near enough because you can't. There's no way in this. If he gets any offers at all, he's got to let Ruth go. Much as we know Ruth can put the ball in it, you couldn't trust that guy another season. Never in a million years.
Yeah. No, I know. He's got to.
He's got to. Even if you go 2 games out of him and then he's crocked, and then we're back to square one. You're playing with 1 striker, and if he gets injured, you've nobody else to put as a number 9. So
it's
minimum,
trust, innit? It's trust.
You're looking at least 2 strikers. He'd have to bring in at least 2 strikers up Southside. He has to.
Aye, I think
2 guys that know where the goals are.
I don't know if Kolak's got a future or no. I think, Albert, I think we went away slightly for playing the way we did. When we were playing the horseshoe with Gio and with 2 wide players and Kolak was in the box himself, he managed to score goals. the minute we ask him to drop short and try and link, then get back in the box, it just seemed to fall apart. And I think you play to the players' strengths. And if we're playing with pace all bear next year, hoping that we'll have players that will be quick passing, we can see we Cantwell, and we've seen the players we've been linked with, type of players. I know you don't fancy the boy for Swansea, but I think it might benefit Kolak because he's prepared to run the sort of channel and run after the defender and get himself in the box more than what Alfie would ever do.
It's not just a question of one type of striker you get. It's various types of strikers you need. If you bring in our two strikers and they all can't be the same, what you need to do is bring another striker in, or another two strikers in that are different to each other and different to Colak. So that allows you all the variations in different games you're going to play, different types of strikers you need to play against these certain teams. At the moment, Colak's a goal scorer. That's what he is. So we've got that type of player. Why would we want to get rid of a goal scorer? I understand that. You keep him and you add two strikers to it. A bigger striker for an aerial threat, if that's the type of game you need to play for a particular game. And another speed merchant who can create a chance. He's practically himself, or a hard-up merchant, you know what I mean, hold the ball up. This is we're trying to get one striker that does all these things. Well, they come in, they roughly starting price for them is about £50 million, you know what I mean? You don't get that. No our budgets anyway, so we need to get three that can cover it. So that's the way I look at it. Yeah. And as for players coming in, I mean, there's going to be, to my mind, there'll be 6 or 7 permanent signings and 5 or 6 loan signings. That's what's going to happen, guys.
Can I come in here?
Aye, you go.
Do you know, the way we are playing at the moment, if we had Haaland, the best centre forward today in our team, we would maybe win a few games and he'd score a few goals. But I still think that what's been said previously, we need different strikers. I don't think Haaland could actually do the job for us in the Scottish Premiership. I just think we just don't create enough chances for people to score goals. Colak isn't up to it. And even with Haaland there, it would be difficult for him. Now, Michael Beale's got to make decisions now. He's already made 2 decisions with Cantwell and Raskin, and he's brought in 2 really, really good players. Now, I think we've got to go with him, and I think he's going to bring even more good players into the club, you know. And I think we need strikers that are going to do the job for us, and we don't need to pay vast amount of money for a Haaland. There'll be somebody that he can bring in that will do a job for us.
He plays in Scotland, and we're going to go to a tune. Kevin is, but right, guys, if you get yourself on mute, we're going to have a tune, all right, and we'll take this up in the second half, guys.
I sailed the wild Atlantic, across the broad Pacific shore. I sailed around the stormy capes and I've heard the 40s roar. I've climbed the Indian Ocean, I've sailed the China Sea. But there's a sea back home in Scotland, more than all the rest to me. It's the blue, blue, blue sea where I go. It's the biggest sight that I have ever seen. The blue, blue, blue sea of my love. And it's not on the really just where I sleep. No more I'll sail the 7 seas, no more I'll ever roam. No more I'll feel the urge again, I'm back where I belong. And 3 o'clock each Saturday, I'll join the mighty throng. With flags and banners all around, I'll proudly sing this song. It's the blue, blue, blue sea of my drum. It's the greatest sight that I have ever seen. It's the
why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Hi, everybody back?
Yep, report, man.
I was just thinking there, obviously, obviously we've got a game in Sunday, Alex. You think we're definitely going to see Ridvan because Borner's out injured. So Ridvan, I would expect, unless he plays a young boy Divine, which I would like to think Ridvan will be in place of him. But do you think we'll see about time we've seen McCrory back, Robbie? Number one between the sticks?
But the way he intimated, he said that a few weeks ago in a presser, didn't he, that he was looking to play him before the end of the season, and we've not seen him lately. So, as Albert and Blue Star are saying there's no meaningless games playing for our club. I mean, the supporters are still paying, a good price of a ticket there to go and see a team capable of winning. But we're in the position now where you've got to give him game time to see whether he is good enough to stay on for next year, or where he's another one that we have to cut loose. Give the boy a chance, for goodness sake, Definitely go to play Ridvan. I don't think we'll be seeing Morelos and Kent. I wouldn't like to think so. I don't think that would get a good reaction out of the team. So he's got a chance to freshen the team and have a look at other players who he's maybe, 50-50 about whether to keep or whether to let go. But he was interesting in his presser today. He said that he has offered people contracts to stay on out of the list that's ready to go, but he didn't name them. So it'll be interesting to see the developments for here.
He did mention that there'd be one or two offered contracts for two of the out-of-contract players. Could be anybody. I would probably expect Ryan Jack might be one on a reduced contract, considering he might think he might get 20 games next season out of Ryan Jack, possibly fully fit to a point, and he might think he's a good addition, Albert.
I'm hoping it's Colin Steele and John Gregg.
Well, listen, just jump in before Albert, if you don't mind. Would you say to Ryan Jack, cut your international career short then? That's your terms.
Well, you possibly could put it to him, but I just think his appearance record for the amount of games he started and the injuries that he's picked up, he's not really in a bargaining position. I think if he wants to stay at Glasgow Rangers, then there'll be a deal, but I think it would be on reduced terms. But to be honest, I've only mentioned him. It could be MD else that's out of contract, including Arfield, that some people think he should have a future. I get things like that, Blue Star, but I think we've got to clear the decks. We've got to go for younger, and you've got to try and let an Alex Lowry break onto the bench and try and come on rather than bring on an Arfield. I think going forward, as much as we know what he does, but we've got to try and get better onto the park and freshness, eh?
Like, game's all about opinions. If our manager offers Arfield, Jack, Lundstrom, Kamara, any of them, another year's contract, then he's doing the right thing. That's my opinion. The guy, he's got to cut loose. He's got the ample opportunity now. He's tell everybody, plus what managing director, etc., has all been changed. And it's a total revamp. He started off the show talking about the young ones. Listen, the young ones, the academy's costing us 18 million quid. And as you've just been talking about, out of that lot that's there's only one player that I know of that any of us think could possibly do as a job, and that would be Lowry. You've got to cut your cloth accordingly, as we keep saying. Bottom line is, what we've got in our academy now is nowhere near standard to play for Glasgow Rangers. And on that south side, I watched that whole game the other night, the youth club, the youth boys. And I'm not kidding you. Much as it was exciting because of the amount of goals that went in, for goodness gracious me, as Bridgman would say, the quality was absolutely atrocious. Now, I'm not been big-headed. Take it from me. If I was 17 again and I'd been playing on that side, I'd have been looking like a superstar. And I'm not being funny. I'm being serious. the lack of quality was absolutely frightening, and that was for both sides. It was atrocious. It really was atrocious.
Blue Star.
Now, I've seen Lovelace a couple of times.
Blue Star, hold on. Did you see the boy Bailey Rice?
I did.
Do you think he showed a bit of composure the way he took the ball? He looked up. To me, he looked like he had. To me, he looked like he had something about him.
But
he's
when
young.
I'm saying quality,
he's too young.
about, could you drop the guys into sitting on a bench and bringing them on? Possibly a couple of them. But the overall standard was atrocious. For that age group and the physique that some of them had, oh no, nowhere near it, guys.
Albert, do you see when you're saying about the money it costs, what we're not bringing through? And as I've said before, the boy Patterson, you'll not get that out our academy again for a long, long time. I don't think that was a one-off that we managed to get a good deal on. Yeah. Is it worth us having an academy, Albert?
No chance. In my opinion, I've always said I don't see where we get out of it. They are with the boys, and the boys have got to start somewhere who want to get into the game, but let somebody else do that. Let's just get back to what we do. We buy players, sell them, buy them and sell them. That's what we do. We've always done that. Very few boys come through the Rangers ranks, and that's all our history, by the way. That's just no new. We get some. I'm not saying we don't get any, but there's very few. For the effort, for the amount of boys we get through the academy, that's one of the things that nobody talks about. How many boys actually went through the academy for us actually to get a gem? It's ridiculous, mate. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I'll tell you one thing. The mob I would actually sack right away without any hesitation is all the defensive coaches at Rangers at the moment, because they haven't a clue. They haven't a clue about it. And that's right through. That's right through the women's team, the young boys teams, the B team, right up to the first team. Sack all the coaches. They're crap. They're absolutely crap at what they do.
Well, see, now you mentioned that, Billy. He's mentioned that, and I'll come to Alex. The thing that he was labelled at QPR when they were in the Championship was they leaked a lot of goals for set pieces. That seemed to be their problem, Billy. But like you say, that's QPR players, and that's the bit. As you're talking about their setup, their defensive coaching stuff that we've took to be part of our coaching staff with Michael Beale, Billy. Has he got a point?
110% correct, Amundo. Of course he's got a point. I mean, it's blatantly obvious. There's no point going forward, scoring, for talking sake, 10 goals and conceding 20. You know what I mean? That's not going to win you league titles. That's not got, first and foremost, it's not got to win you games of football, and it'll certainly not win you league titles. It maybe get you a good run in the cup to a certain extent, and then you'll fall short, because if you can't defend properly, and if you can't defend close balls into the box, then surely they must be doing something wrong within their training programme when they're working with the ball 5 or 6 days a week, or whatever the case may be. So that's a head scratcher right away, because all the great Rangers teams throughout our history, they've all been built on a solid foundation, and it doesn't go from front to back, it goes from back to front. You get the spine right of the team, the goalkeeper, your 2 centre halves, the middle of the park, and your goal scorer. It's just like the root of a tree. The tree can't grow if it's not got a foundation of strong roots, and then you branch after the rest. The tree gets strong and it branches after the rest of the tree type thing. And it's the same with a football team. You know what I mean? If you've not got the basics right and the foundations right, the team's not going to flourish. And if you can't defend properly, then you have no chance.
I'll tell you, just a quick one. I'll tell you another thing, Billy. See any player, and I mean any player, that turns their back on play and doesn't concentrate, should be fined. There should be a fine on it, £10,000 minimum fine on that. It's a crime, by the way. It's a crime against football, turning your back on play, and we do it all the time. And it's not just Kent. Yep. I've seen a few of them. I'll
tell you the sinner. I'll tell you the sinner. The Connor Golson's their sinner for that one, mate. Alex, is it the defensive coach's fault when you see John Souttar make the slack pass, and what Davis done it up there, and Tav no tracking his man when the ball's getting crossed in? I mean, that's basic errors for players. That's no coaching. You know, that's errors that is in the players, and if they're not grumping challenging for a ball in the air where they should be, because we've seen our centre-back stand still, you know, it's down to players, innit, to be fearless and take that head knock or whatever.
It's taking responsibility for the team. That's what it is. It's leaders in the team, and Billy's 100% right. You look back at our 55 season. Where was the foundation for success? When we lost 13 goals the full season, so that gave us the impetus to go forward, and the full backs to push on, knowing full well we were solid at the back. Because, and by the way, who was our player of the season that year? Alan McGregor. He was unbelievable. You know, so with the confidence to go forward, but we're putting ourselves under pressure. We lost the first goal again there last weekend. I think that's the 28th time in the last year we've lost the first goal, and we're no scoring.
Yeah.
So that's a combination that is no good for going forward. We need to sort out that defence. We need to get leaders in the team, people who will point fingers, you know, take responsibility for their position. I think the Suter one was unlucky, to be honest with you, because he'd been a long time out of the team, and I think it was maybe fatigue that kind of caught him, you know, with making that pass. But even though when you watch that there, Suter could also burst into the line thinking that Alan McGregor, he might get there, he might not get there. But if you watch him, he jogged to the line, you know, and then all of a sudden Jota rounds McGregor and it's a tap-in. So it's just that the switch off, it's happening far too many times. I mean, I watched a thing the day with Craig Houston and Gordon Smith. It was a brilliant interview, but going back to the junior thing, he said when he was 14-year-old, he got 3 offers. Rangers were in from, Celtic were in from, Kilmarnock were in from. He was an Ayrshire boy. His dad said to him, stick with Kilmarnock, you know, son, because if you're good enough and you make it, they too will come back in for you, and then it's up to you. He says it's the best thing I've ever done, because I actually trained with the Kilmarnock men. Tommy McLean, I think, had retired out of Rangers and went to Kilmarnock at the time, and that made him a far better player. We've lost that connect between the youth to progress them to be men. The B team, I mean, Blue Stars right the other night, that youth team is miles away from the first team at Rangers, but because we've lost that disconnect between the reserve team to learn off the old pros and just playing against their B teams, academy teams, young boy team, that doesn't elevate you into the first team at Rangers. That's a fact, you know. So our academy isn't working, and we're spending a hell of a lot of money towards it.
See, that's what I'm trying to say. It's the pressure. It's a 2-team league, and if you go and play like the boy Danny Levitt, and he was the same as the boy we just sold, Charlie McCann, same age, same thing. That boy's got over 200 appearances at Dundee United. You know, for the reason being that they can afford to go out, and if they don't win every week, it doesn't matter. They're blooding their youngsters. They're putting a few in the team. We can't afford to do that here, because we get a draw and a defeat. When you hear us on here, never mind everybody else that phones in like Blue Star and that, and it'll be going radio rental. It is a massive, massive pressure. And unless you're maybe like a Patterson or a Barry Ferguson at the time, even look at Charlie Adam, he struggled Blue Star to get into the team. And yet sometimes he produced, and look at what he gets out for when he went away to Blackpool and moved on, you know. But I agree. I just think that the boys we've got and that they really need an academy then, because as I remember growing up watching Rangers is we boat players. We don't really produce a lot.
The worst thing they ever done, Southside, the worst thing they ever done was stay away with the reserve league. Even your old managers, the good ones, and that's not even at our club, that's at all the clubs. You knew if your first team pool, if the guys that weren't playing week in, week out, they were still getting games in the reserve league, and that was getting them up to speed, so that if you did have injuries, you pulled them out the reserve league into the first league. That was the worst thing they ever done, getting rid of that. But on with defence, Southside, see, one of the things I've noticed with the Aussie guy, up until they brought him, whether it was Lennon or go back to all the guys that they had, all the rest of the managers in our league were all pummeling us for cross balls. Because the guys we had at the back, you maybe had one now and again that could either a ball. But as it stood out, our centre halves were no use in the air. They're no good in the air. what this guy's done is a complete and utter opposite. Since he came in, they don't fire in big cross high balls into our box. Very, very rarely. They're hitting us in the breaks and firing 3 and 4 and 5 guys running it. We're guys on the deck. And as soon as our full-backs are out of position, that's it. The bog is in the middle and our 2 centre-backs are too flat-footed. They're not quick enough on their feet. So it's a culmination, I think. It's not just they're no good in the air, they're too slow in the ground. But the overall compelling thing with our defence, and we all know it, and I don't know how he gets around it. I really don't, because I don't see him changing his system. He maintains that he's going to play with the 2 flying fullbacks. And as soon as they're up the park, yes, we get away with most teams, but not against that mob, because they hit fast on the break, no with 1 or 2 players. They move through midfield with 5 and 6. Therefore, the minute your 2 fullbacks are forward, they're breaking their lines, and your 2 centre-halves have 4 and 5 guys to try and mark, and it can't be done. So, unless he changes his system, I don't see how he gets around it. Even bringing in a better quality of player, Southside, we would still struggle with that kind of system unless we have the ball all the time. You know what I mean? It's a bit...
We might, but see, to be honest, I just look at the last couple of games and that, and I can see what we've seen at the start up there, and I can see in the games we've played. We've not had the victory, but I think he's got a system, and I think getting a better players and quick players, and I think we can win, no bother against him. I don't fear anything for next season, because I think he will build something. Billy, I think you were about to come in about something, pal, wouldn't you?
Aye, Mucker, it was, I said this ages ago, and unfortunately it's come back to be true. I've seen the bad habits creep into the Rangers team, and by that I mean individual errors were starting to creep in. And I said way back ages ago, last season on the show, that it was a bad habit we were starting to pick up. And what's happening now is these bad habits have snowballed, and the individual errors, Southside, have now become collective errors, and it's happening right through the team. And we need to rectify that if we want to move forward, because if we don't, it's only going to get worse, mate.
Aye, it's like we talked about, as I said earlier, I think in the 55 season we didn't get punished like we did. We had a wonder season, done the goals and the less defeats and all that, and we broke a record for the least goals and whatever. But it was a wonder season, and that will never happen. It's never happened in all the time we've followed Glasgow Rangers. We need to tighten up the defence. I think Goldstein is a problem. That's why I think him and Tav will probably only get 1 season, in my opinion. Albert, I know you were different. You would clean the lot of them if you can. I don't think we can do it all this windy, but I just think fitter. I think we'll see a fitter squad next season, and then I think they'll be judged for that 1 year, and then I think you've got to move the 2 on and look for better.
A positive move would be hiring the Parks of Hamilton bus and sticking them on it and driving them over the border. That's a positive for me. Get them out, because they can't defend. They're hopeless. They're just hopeless, and you can't win anything where you've not got a defence, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Every team in the world, every successful team and good team has a decent defence. We seem to think we're going to invent the wheel here for some odd reason. I don't know why, but we seem to think we're going to play a style of football that we want to play that doesn't really win anything. You know what I mean? Let's be honest about it. It's won a Scottish Cup in the last 2 years. That's no good enough, mate. That's just simply no good enough. But defence-wise, Goldstein, and he's not good enough. We've got, look at this, put it this way, with 55 season, the player of the year was Alan McGregor. Alan McGregor was brilliant that year. At the present, as we stand right now, we've got a bad goalkeeper. That's a fact, mate. We've got a bad goalkeeper and 2 bad fullbacks. That's a fact. And we've got a bad centre-half in Davis, who is just a wee shrinking violet. He's never, ever going to be tough enough for the Scottish game. So that's where you're trying to build at. We're talking about forward players and all that, which we need. There's no doubt about it for next season. But you need to get this defence sorted. I don't care who you put in there. You need to sort your defence out first and foremost. Get that solid, absolutely solid. Then you get Cantwell and Raskin and other players that you bring in and give them a fighting chance to win your games.
100%, big man, I agree. I think maybe Dion Sanderson might be one we might look at, the boy at Birmingham that's shooting lone face. Can't remember where he was away. But anyway, I think we're being joined by our global ambassador, Big Al. How you doing, big man?
I'm fine. It's good to be on with the Champions League team tonight at the top table. Except Alex, obviously. Alex is like the James Tavernier of Rangers Radio, isn't he?
I'm not that bad, surely.
Right, okay, the Connor Goldson, the Ryan Kent, or the Freddie Manella. It's getting worse. What is I'm going to ask you a wee question here, and whoever can come in, Blue Star. I like Blue Star. The cut of Blue Star's jib. He tells it as it is. He's down with the kids, I believe. What is Michael Beale's philosophy? That tells me everything. The silence.
I was waiting for one of them to answer.
Aye. That tells me all we need to know.
Listen, we know. Listen, what do we say about him? Right, we're taking a chance, Big Al. Right,
correct. Because I've got that written down in front of me. We've got an apprentice manager.
We've got an apprentice manager. I agree. Right, because if you look what happens in England, they're getting guys like Higme. It's just kept up Huddersfield and all that, Warnock and all that. You know, there's still public guys like that out.
Sam Allardyce,
you know, we're looking, probably managers going forward, you look at some of them, Big Al, they're trying to get a progressive coach. They're probably about more coaches now and trying to be progressive. But
back
I believe
to the question, because you're skirting round about
I think we'll play. I think it's the usual. We're going to play out for the back, and we're going to try and play quick, free-flowing, one-touch football. That's what you'd like to think we're going to play.
No. You know, that's what you think we're going to play. I'm asking the question. I'm asking is, what is his philosophy?
You need to ask him. But I only watch what I watch.
He's a coach. He's a manager. He should be describing. He should be coming out and telling the fans what his philosophy, what his vision is for the club. I've not heard that from him.
Mm-hmm. Bear, what do you think?
I think that. Oh, sorry, I'll shut up here.
No, I'll just pass it round and let them give an answer.
No, that's what I mean. Sorry.
On you go, Bear, what do you think?
I think it's obvious what his philosophy is. I think he's just going to be an attacking coach. He wants to attack. That's what he wants to do. He's got all these number 10s, and that's what he's wanting. He's wanting to attack, and play pretty football, which is great and brilliant and excellent to watch. But it doesn't win you nothing, mate. He doesn't like the defensive side. That's proven with the players he keeps talking about. He keeps talking about your Cantwells and your Lowrys and your Lawrence and all these type players. Tillman, we've got what we will number 10s. So he's wanting the mob across the city. His philosophy is play quick and hard. That's it. Don't give the opposition a time to settle. Don't wait to take shies, corners, free kicks. Hit them on the break. Move. That's his philosophy. But we seem to think we're going to invent the wheel. That's what I think he's trying to do. Reinvent the wheel.
I'm really frustrated with Bear, like I really am. I'd like to hear the opinions of the other boys on the panel.
Aye, well, you go Blue Star, then we'll go to Billy. Blue Star left, I think. Billy, what do you think?
It's a good shout, Big Al. A good shout, mate. Listen, I think he plays a 4-2-3-1, and as I've said in the show before, mate, I don't know if you've heard on it, talking about the 3 Ps. I could bore you to death with it, mate, with the 3 Ps, but he tries to play the 4-2-3-1 with the system, the front 3 or front 4 players getting a lot more freedom, i.e. to move about different positions. Within that 3 at the front, for talking say under Gio, it was Kent was out in the wide left, and he was telling him to move out of that position, for talking sake. So he's trying to use that formation in a different way, that system, in a different way. You know what I mean? And he's obviously want to press teams high up the park and move the ball about quickly and get the team to move about as a unit, as a whole. Have you up and down the park, mate? So they're so there are no spaces for other teams to hang with. But I know exactly what you're saying, mate.
So,
it's a head
Billy,
scratcher.
can I just come in and ask you a wee question? Have you seen that? Have you seen that, what you've just described to me? Since you came in?
I have, mate. Yeah, I sat and watched the two systems under two different managers, Al, right?
Aye.
And I watched, as I said, I watched it under Gio and how he tried to play the 4-2-3-1, as I said, under the 3 Ps. And I've watched Michael Beale playing the 4-2-3-1 and how he's tried to, as I said, give the players more freedom to move about the park, but use the same system. So he's using that system in a different way for Van Bronckhorst did.
But we're getting the same results. Is that fair to say?
No, that's a fair point, and all, mate. That's $1 million question.
In fairness, Big Al. In fairness, he's played a diamond, Big Al, right? And I'll come to Alex next. You might have noticed that we have played the diamond, right? Where Kent played at the Tapia and he had Cantwell and Raskin either side, and Lundstrom or Jack, whoever played at the Tailor. At times, no, he's done that. I just think we don't have the players that he's got a vision of what he's going to do, and he's trying wee things out. We've played. See, the thing that annoys me, everybody wants to play this Pep way. It's all right if you can play, that your team can play like that and pass the ball out for the back. We did play some nice football. See if there's a clip. There was a clip out there.
There has been.
You see the way we played through them at Hampden, and then it came to Sakala, as you seen, Alex, and he kicked it out of the bar. But that play that we done, it was quick. And it was all one touch, and it goes up the park within 6-7 passes. Just we didn't do the right thing when we got to the edge of the box, Alex. It was Sakala, if you remember that clip. You've maybe seen it.
The only trouble with playing Pep's way, by the way. The only trouble with playing Pep's way, he spent over £1 billion over a few years to build that team. We're going to do it in 30 bob.
Alex, on you go.
Oh, listen, I know where Big Al's coming from. I don't see a great deal of difference between Beale's style and Gio's style. It's quite negative, that, but it's possession-based football.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of alluding there, because I was going to bring into that. I don't see much difference between Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and Michael Beale. Do you know what the big difference is?
There's a big difference. But you've got to say results. You're going to say results, aren't you?
Well, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst lifted a trophy.
Right, okay, I get that. Well, I'll say the new I had to expect Michael Beale to be lifting a trophy next season. Because he done it. He lifted a trophy based. He lifted a trophy. Well, he lifted a trophy basically on. I'll come to Blue Star, but he got the fitness of that team. He had that squad when he came in, Giovanni. You know, and so that team just played, carried on, and he tried to change his style. He wouldn't let our fullbacks go forward, and then it was like, wait a minute here, you need to get Taverner up the park. That's what they did. They put balls in, we score. So he changed it, Blue Star. So I just think better players and a better squad, you'll see a difference. We've got players that are past their sell-by date. They've went stale and they're just not got the mobility and everything else that they want. But hold on, Blue Star, I'll need to do my Super 6. So I'll let you hear that, and you can collect some money at the weekend. So if you don't mind, you can hear the Super 6.
Do they have to?
Oh, sorry.
Hi, welcome to Southside Super 6 for Saturday, the 6th of May. My first selection this weekend is Hibernian to beat St Mirren. My second selection is Manchester City to beat Leeds. My third selection is Tottenham to beat Crystal Palace. My fourth selection is Queen of the South to beat Kelty Hearts. My fifth selection is Spartans to beat Brecon away from home. And my last selection is Liverpool to beat Brentford. If you take all 6 teams, it pays 27 to 1. What can you say to that, old bear?
Well, your partner's good, by the way. I was fun about there. I fell off the couch there. You can pick up your money on Saturday. Very good, mate. Very good.
I've set it up. I've set it up, Big Al. So when the 5 come in after 3 o'clock, you can set it 5:30 and watch Liverpool. Get your money in.
Aye. I have your sponsor Bet365, haven't you? You're not doing that system. Their share price went up.
It was a bad move because see that this time last year when we were beating Leipzig 3-1, that was a downfall. Tavernier and 3-1 Rangers at 155-1. That was a catalyst. So it was. And that's just killed me.
Did you win that? Aye.
Of course.
So right, sorry. So that's what gave you all the confidence, and since then.
No, Ox decided we'd have a go at it for this season, see if we could do it.
I'll put that on the day. I'll go into the TAB and put that on the day.
Well, see the Spartans again, they're playing Brighton in a playoff to get in that league. So I've went for Spartans. Don't know anything about them, but that's the one that, just to let you know, that's a playoff game to get out of the Lowland League into the Scottish League.
So it's like medical team.
Yeah, you want Spurs to beat Palace because that's not like know the way Spurs are playing.
I know, but it just is. It's said, yes, on you go,
medical team, mate. You're like, medical team.
You know what you're actually like. What you put me in mind. I bet you've got your dog just walking out the newspaper. Remember like the Carry On film and they had the budgie in it, and he used to tweet with the horses.
Yeah, Albert.
Paint on the dog's feet.
He knows that I don't do dogs, mate. No chance. Albert knows that. No, I've not got a dog.
I thought you've
got a dog. That was temporary. That was only here temporary.
That's how he's called Douglas.
Oh, was it?
Aye, that was only temporary, aye.
Oh, was it?
That's how you don't like Ruth.
So anyway, getting back to the game on Sunday, I take it we can all agree that we might see Matondo.
Yeah.
Have you got bandages on?
I think that's right.
I think he's played better since he's had a haircut, by the way.
Well, if we agree, but if I ask you, Big Al, who would your front 3 be on Sunday?
Is that young boy Urfit? Lovelace and Matondo.
I heard Robbie Muir's going to leave, and I think there's been some things out now saying that he is. I think he's no signing, but I think we're losing that boy. Aye.
That goes back to your first hour of the show.
Aye, what do you think,
I don't know,
Blue Star?
Oh, sorry.
Listen, you're going to laugh. I'm telling you, I'll bet you Kent and Bareilles are at least on that bench, and see if they come on that park. I'm telling you now, you'll see Ibrox going absolutely loopy. I stand by it, because just what you're asking Southside, and we're us clutching at straws. Who's he left with? Sakala, Matondo. Who can he put through the middle?
Sakala.
He's not even get Tillman now.
Alex, I would go with Sakala through the middle.
I can't see that happening. What other striker has he got? I don't know one out of the club. So, if Alfie comes on that park, I'm telling you, your fans will go absolutely berserk. But what option has he got? What other striker have we got at that club then that he can put on?
Billy, who would you go with? Oh, I've heard that one. Billy, who would you go? Who would you go with?
Right in the 3?
The front 3 on Sunday.
Well, I think it doesn't matter what I think, mate. But I think Hadji will maybe get a game for the start. And Cantwell and Sakala, But who's got to play up front, I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't, as I said on the show, Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos, they wouldn't even be in the pool as far as I'm concerned for Sunday. Telling you that right now.
I think if you take...
Hadji's a false 9.
I think Alex, it'll be Matondo on the left, Sakala through the middle, and I think Hadji on the right. I think we've got to try and win the game, but you look at the front 3, out of that you would only bank on probably Sakala scoring, unless Hadji still looks off it. He's no there yet. He's still trying to get his touch in that and fitness, Alex, but I think it's time to give him game time, and I think Ridvan obviously plays left back with Borna being out injured.
We're struggling, Biggie, and there's no doubt about it. But listen, just throw them on and give them an opportunity. You might see like an Uri Hadji and then half an Uri Arfield. He might work it that way, and utilise his bench. But we're definitely bare bones, and there's no many options to pick with. But I'm with Billy. I don't want to see Kent and Morelos even on the bench. Just get them out the club. Finish with them.
I think we've got to be respectful in a way, Big Al. I know it's similar to like Brian Laudrup, as I said the last time. There's other players that have sort of went through the emotions in their last season, but they did do well for the club, and I think they will get a send-off at some point, probably in the Hearts game at Ibrox. As much
as
like
it's a difficult situation. I'm kind of Blue Star here. I think he'll play the two of them, and if he does play the two of them, I mean, the questions need to be asked, because he's like, that's the thing. We're sitting here making a joke and a laugh about it, but it's pretty dire, the circumstances that we're in as a club as a whole, especially the players on the field. Who does he play? He
can't win, no matter who he plays.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I think the pressure's on him. And then if he doesn't play him, and we didn't win the game, or it's no a phenomenal, who does he play in the next game, and then the next? You know what I mean?
He would. I didn't play.
No matter what scenario it is, if we win with the two of them on the park, everybody will be shouting at the why did you not do it last week? If we get beat with the two of them on the park, they'll be shouting at Beale saying why you still play. You can't win. There isn't a scenario where you can win. So I would write this off. I would just put a pen through it. And we need to go for the 3 Bs.
So pick the young boys. Would you go for the young boys? Would you just go for Lovelace?
No, I wouldn't do that. Oh no.
The thing is,
I'm not ready.
I've never played the interview. He done an interview, I think it was over 10, 15, nearly 10, 12 minutes. We never played it, but what I did see when I seen it earlier was Scotty Arfield, believe it or not, was out with a wee strain or something. He only come back to training today, and Ryan Kent's out with an niggle, he says, so we'll only see him. And I don't, so whether he starts Alfie or puts him on the bench, I don't know. That'll be up to him, but he's played him anyway. But I think for the majority of the support out there, I think Maesties would be happy not to see any of the two of them tomorrow, just to get a rest.
He's friends with Kent, is he not? That's when he, like when he was here. He spoke up Kent. He spoke up Kent since he came back into the club, but it's really, we've caused this problem ourselves. We caused it when they decided that they weren't going to sit. They were going to sit there and run down their contracts. We caused this problem ourselves. Yeah. Unfortunately, Michael Beale, he's a figurehead now, so the problem lies at his door. As Albert says, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
I mean, he could change the whole forward line, guys. He could change the whole forward line.
Hold on, one at a time. Right, Albert, go.
He could change his whole forward line tomorrow, and he's going to get damned for that as well. If you win tomorrow with a new forward line, he'll get say, how did you not play him last week? He just can't win. So, as far as I'm concerned, Michael Beale doesn't start getting judged to next year. And all this nonsense he's getting judged in news is nonsense. We need to back the 3 Bs guy. Bennett, Bisgrove and Beale. That's the 3 Bs. We need to stick with them. We need to go with them. Full support. That's what I'm in. Full support for the 3 of them.
Well, I think, like we've said, I think we're all sick and tired of watching the same people, Alex. You know, we've seen Alfie, and I said on here months and months ago, he was going through the emotions. You watch it week in, week out. Even sometimes, like I said, you don't see things in the telly that you might see at the game, and even at Ibrox, when you're watching the game, sometimes you look at their body language and what they're doing after the ball, and that just felt as if he was just going into spaces to receive the ball and make an easy pass, and then he thought his job was done, Alex. And we need grafters, workers. Kolak gave you that, at least. And I know he's never really recovered since he went out injured, and he never mentioned him at all, so I don't think he's fit. But I would like to have seen him, just because the sheer work rate and the fact that he was scoring in the start of the season, and now he's not a chance again just through injury. It's just frustrating.
100%. I think what we're seeing now is that the direct result of again Ross Wilson, just a freebie at the squad, because what we're getting left with there, the options that the guys have sold in defence and attack, he let Itten go. He let well, we had Defoe there as well, but obviously he's far too old now. But we had the options in the year when we won the league. We don't have the options now. As I say, Roof's just unreliable. Joe unfortunately has become that way as well. Morelos is just dummy out, and Sakala is just no good enough. So unfortunately, we're getting left with absolute dross to watch here. But I don't know. Do you throw in a young boy and just give him an opportunity out there? As Albert saying, there is no way situation. He's caught between a rock and a hard place, isn't he? He's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't. So you might have to look to play an advanced midfielder into that position there, and maybe just give Cantwell maybe a forward role, or Hadji maybe a forward role, or Arfield maybe a forward role, and just see where we go for. But no, sorry, Kent and Morelos, I don't want to see them in a blue jersey again.
Aye, I think Billy, and then I'll come to Blue Star. I think when we heard Hadji's interview today, I watched his interview, he seemed a bit bullish and all. Said he knows what he can do and he's got plenty of assists and all that, and he's a number 10 and stuff, and sounded like maybe that's where he wants to go in and play. But like he said himself, he's well off it. He's never near 90 minutes. He understands that. But he said he's been training and it's about getting game time. So it's another player I think he's got great vision in that. And I don't care about you've not got a lot of pace. I watched Tom Rogic play for them in that position. He never had pace, but he could do some nice things with the ball. And Hadji's identical to that. He can play some passes, he can shoot left and right foot side the box. So I think if we could get him back playing, he could be an asset to the team. It's just people just think, he's had the injury, might not come back. Obviously, we'll need to see him come back in the pre-season, but I think if Tillman leaves, he could be your answer.
Suicide?
Aye, on you go, Big Al.
But do you really think that Hadji set the heather on fire when he was in the team? I
think he did a lot of things in the team, Big Al, because we sort of played him out of position, and he played that right hand side. And see, apart from him, and
did he set the heather on fire? Was he the dynamic player that we thought when we bought him, or the hype about him was?
I get.
I think sometimes we're relying on it, like we're falling into that bracket. We're relying on a player that I don't think actually hit his full potential. He's got the name Hadji in his back. He'll never be anywhere near what his father could do.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Aye, but at the same time, in the 55 season, he scored right good goals, and we scraped games against Hibs at home, 1-0 and that. He was scoring goals for outside the box. In Europe, he was doing the good stuff in Europe, apart from the one at Ibrox when he was on loan. But even away from him, he cut a ball back for the byline in one of the games across to Hollander, and we got a one each draw away for him, and it was intelligence, Big Al. I think he's got something.
Oh no, yeah, he's definitely. But is the consistency there? Has he got the dig? Has he got the drive? Has he got the commitment? Has he got set a pause like a gorilla? Because that's what we need. And that personally, I don't think he's that type of player. I think we're looking at somebody that can have flashes of brilliance, but we need somebody that's maybe no flashes of brilliance, but somebody that's consistent, 100% effort every single game. I'm looking at Hadji and I'm saying to myself, I don't get that feeling for the young boy.
I know what I think once we can see a style of that sort of what he's looking for and in the positions, and if it's going to be this 4-2-3-1 or a diamond or whatever he's going to do, Big Al, we don't really know until next season. We see the type of calibre of player he's bringing in. Billy, I need to go, but can I just say, Albert, I agree with him and then I slightly disagree with him. I think, yes, we've got to get behind the three Bs next season, but I think Beale has put himself under pressure before next season. I think if you're reflecting it, he probably should have took the job at the end of this season and no came in midway through the season, because he has built pressure on himself. He's not beat the team for the other side of the city. The defeat, the
one half good play, second. And I know his hands are tied with the players, but I think he has put pressure on himself. And some of the comments that he comes out with in his pressers and things like that, he's kind of mellowed that slightly. But when he first came in, I think things could come back to bite him in the arse. And I think that's what we're looking at as fans. So I do agree we get behind him next season, proper investment, and I'll just need to see how it goes next season. But I think he has put a bit of pressure on himself.
The problem I've got, Al, is see, like just take the Old Firm games for example, because that's where he's really going to get judged. We all know that. Two of them he done all right, and the players let him down. The one in the semi-final, the one in the final, the League Cup final, he was at fault with that. He admitted it himself. He got that completely wrong. Now that was a learning curve. Guys good enough to come out and admit it, but the rest of them, that was down to the players, mate. There's nothing, you can't deny it. The goals that were getting away were ridiculous. Schoolboy stuff, real amateur stuff. But hey, it is what it is. What's by is by. We had the chance to win a double. We had a chance to even win a league, and we blew the lot. So that's why these players should be cleaned out immediately. And I would say the majority of them, mate.
Aye, I'm with you on that. Right, take care, gentlemen. All the best, and thanks again for taking my call.
All right, Big Al, thanks for phoning in, mate. Speak to you soon. Aye, what do you think, Billy? Short-term pain now for long-term gain then, when we get a new squad?
Aye, that's the way it's got to be, It's got to be. We know what's required now. We've reached a period within our history that as all Rangers teams do, mate, regarding players coming to the end of their career and new players coming in. I think it's as Ox says on occasions, it's time for new heroes, and that's exactly correct. And the summer, in my opinion, we can talk about dead rubber games and whatnot, the next 5 games, 4 or 5 games, whatever the case may be. But it is what it is, and we'll see what the pre-season brings. And hopefully, Michael Beale's got a vision and an idea of the players he's identified and the way he's wanting to take us forward. Because I'm looking for a challenge next year. I'm looking to challenge that mob for across the city next year, big time. Because the last thing we want to do is for it to all go up in the air again, and we're back to square one. So we've got to get behind the board and what they're trying to achieve, and we've got to get behind the manager of the vision he's got to take us forward. Southside.
Aye. If we're not in a good shape by Christmas and it's gone Pete Tong, he'll know the job. Simple as that, Blue Star, Blue Star away. Alex?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you there?
Absolutely. The Southside, he's put his selling in this for me. As Albert said there, and Big Al and the rest of you, the players that he played in the games that mattered there, the last half dozen games there, he tell you straight, he was putting what he thought was his strongest team on the park, i.e. that meant Kent and Morelos, and he continued to play them, and he was getting nothing out of them. So now that if he does drop them, and if he can't play Kent because he's injured, then he's in a catch-22 because his attitude, and he tell us straight, he played them because they were his best players that he had available. So if he drops them now, then you're saying to yourself, so you're going to stick with Sakala, Matondo. If they went on the run and they won the 5 games, you turn around and you would say to him, and he shot himself in the foot anyway, and they would say, well, why didn't you change it before now in the games that mattered? So it's immaterial for me, really. Yes, you want us to win the games, but there's every chance we won't, because that group of players, they ain't got it, and that's why we need them out, and that's why we need new ones brought in, and we've got to look forward to next season now.
100%.
You know?
Alex, we're playing an Aberdeen team who's won 7 games on a bounce and conceded 1 goal. So, who would your team be for Sunday?
I'm losing my signal. We'll see you later, boys. No idea. I think the bingo machine's coming out to play on that.
I mean, as we've said,
listen, the Union Bears asked for change, didn't they? They've certainly got change in the boardroom, change in the manager, and they're going to be changing the team. We just hope that all the decisions are for boardroom level steep down into management and onto the park, because we really need to get this right. We've had too many years in the doldrums again, and we need to, resurge and challenge them again for trophies, because I'm sick fed up seeing them with the green and white ribbons around them.
I take it that's a wee bit tongue-in-cheek. UB forced them all out.
Not at all. I'm
You
wearing
serious?
UB.
Aye, listen, I'm not against any of the UB. I'm just saying, do you honestly think that force changed what we're seeing now, honestly?
No, but I think the results on the park, I think that we're at Ostenfie, if you remember right, the banner that get paraded at Livingston before the League Cup final. Michael Beale taking that personally as a dig at him. Aye and no, but it was more a message to the players on the park. We've got an opportunity here to win a trophy. Get out there and do it for us because we deserve it. And they didn't do it. And they've continued to let us do it. It's by the way, it's been like that for 7 years. It's not just 1 or 2 years. So we really need to start getting this right. I was going to come in with another question tonight, but I'll leave that for another show. Thanks for taking my calls outside.
Oh, no worries, mate. Aye, you're welcome on here anytime, mate. You know that. It's just getting near the end of it, so we'll probably keep it for another night when you phone in. Because we've got plenty of time to kill during the weeks, you know what I mean? But cool. Albert, what do you fancy your team? I like to hear your team. What have you, and I'll come to Billy, what's your team set up, do you think, for Sunday?
Corey, Tav, Golson, Suter, Ridvan, Cantwell, Raskin, Hadji, up front, Sakala, Mutondo, and Broxy Bear.
That's a proper bear.
What about you, Billy? What do you fancy for Sunday? Apart from roast dinner, no doubt.
Well, mine's is a wee bit different. No, slightly, but slightly different. I'd go McCrory, Tav, Golson, Suter, Raskin. Sorry, I'll start again. I'd go McCrory, Tav, Golson, Davis, Raskin, Cantwell, Sakala. Who else have we got? Have we got any? Who else have we got? Matondo, and I would put Big Alec Kelly up front.
I get lost when you started. I don't know. I think I got Tav, Golson, Davis, Raskin, and then I don't know what happened after that, man.
Tracy,
yes.
Tracy, could we put Bobby Sands up front? He's a good striker.
Who?
Bobby Sands for our view listers.
I know.
Alec Kelly, Broxy Bear, we took the costume.
I think he'll keep, apart from Ridvan, I think, and possibly like to see Robbie McCrory. I think it'll be the same. I don't know if he'll go a back three. I think we have to find Suter game time, and I don't think you justify it by playing him on the left-hand side. Because I think you want to see him play his best, and let's be honest, he'd be more comfortable on the right-hand side. If you turn around to Conor Golson and say, go and play on the left, he'll not be too keen on that. He's never done it. But I just think it'll be Ridvan, and I think the midfield will be Raskin, Cantwell, and I think it'll probably be Lundstrom. I think up front it'll be Matondo on the left. I'd go Hadji on the right, or just in behind, and I would go, I'll need to be Sakala. In my eyes, you know. We've got to get a win. We can't just think it's a joke now and we can just fire the team in and play them, him and him. We've got to get it right. So hopefully on Sunday we'll get it right. So that's us came at the end of the evening, guys. So if you don't mind, Alex, I'll let you say something before you leave.
No, really.
Goodbye.
Thanks for taking my call.
Is that it? No, good luck to the Glasgow Rangers or anything. No, even good luck to the Glasgow Rangers. Unbelievable.
That's failed. I'll need to pull my Broxy Bear outfit out the wardrobe.
You're playing tomorrow. That's Sunday.
Get my boots on.
Blue Star.
We know we're up against it now with the squad of players we've got left. We can only hope. We've been hoping for I don't know how long, but we look forward to next season, and we can only hope the next 5 games they can pull something out the bag with whoever he plays. Onwards and upwards.
Right, okay, I'll just say this now in case I forget. There will only be a pre-show match show on Sunday or after the game on Sunday. So the next time we'll be back on will be Monday, just to let everybody know. I know Fox and Old School Blue are away for an award for putting up with us, but I know they're busy at the weekend, so there will only be a show this weekend until Monday. I'll come to you, Billy.
Thoroughly enjoyed the night, Southside. It was good being on with Old Bear. It's always a man's always a wealth of knowledge. So thanks very much for asking us on, mate. Some great calls, great debates, great points. It was good talking about the youth players and whatnot. And it's going to be interesting Sunday to see who we pat out as our starting 11. But listen, it is what it is. And bring on Sunday and let's get a victory for the Rangers, mate. Thanks very much, buddy.
No worries. Could I just thank Jim for Surrey, also Blue Star, Alex Kelly, Big Al. And I'd like to give a special mention out there to Pedro. Pedro's from the other side of the city. He tried his best to get on the show, but unlucky he failed. So just a special mention to Pedro. It's good that you're listening to the show, my man. Albert, I'll leave it to you for the last words, pal.
Aye, good show tonight, mate. Good to win with Billy and yourself. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And Sunday's game, let's rip the pee out of them and play Scott right.
Aye, hope for our Rangers win, mate, as always. I'm sure we will. I'd just like to thank Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals this evening. I'd like to thank you two guys for carrying us tonight. I appreciate it. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Rangers Radio will be back on Monday. We're hoping, you never know with the King's coronation. It could be Tuesday, but we're hoping we'll have a show on Monday at 8 o'clock. Thanks for listening and take it away, guys. Come on, the Rangers.
Every Saturday we follow, we cheer the boys in blue, the most successful team in football. We're Scotland's gallant few, though at times they have been hard, we're followed near and far. You will always hear us roaring from the stands in Ibrox Park. Every Saturday we follow to cheer the boys in blue, the most successful team in football, who's Scotland's gallant few. to cheer the boys in blue. The most successful team in football. Well, Scotland's gallant few. Well, times they have been hard. Well, followed near and far. You will always hear us roar.